charity projects, and he said he wanted to do the same thing, but the only thing he knew was film. So he took it upon himself to partner with a local production company to train African filmmakers in the art of filmmaking. So he divides them into their various disciplines, directing, writing, cinematography, production design, and so on. Trains them for 2 weeks, and after they're done with the 2 weeks of training, they put on a workshop film. And Nairobi Half Life was the second of such films done. Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, a lot about that film was accurate. The corruption of police officers, all these people migrating to Nairobi for a better life, being drawn into things that they wouldn't ordinarily do out of desperation, yes. Of course, because it's cinema, there's a lot that's been heightened and dramatized. You wouldn't go through what Moas went through in one day, but a lot of what you saw was very, very accurate. And it was both on Moas's level and on, Cedric's level. Yeah, there's all that. That dichotomy is alive and present. Yeah. Thank you. Tosh Kitonga told them, all right, you know what the spirit of the lines is, you know how the dialogue needs to go. Now you can go crazy from there. And just to keep it authentic to the area they were based in Nairobi, one of the gang members, one of the actors playing the gang members, knew the kind of language that they spoke there. So he trained all of them. Ordinarily, they wouldn't speak like that, but people going to the cinemas in Kenya needed the subtitles as much as you did, because they didn't recognize it was such, very deep, very specific language. Yeah.
The artists or?
All the music that wasn't part of the score was Nairobi artists. So if you had any lyrics, if you had any, anything at all, that was all Kenyan artists. But the person that did the score is based in Germany. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have another follow-up project in the planning?
Yes. It's called Something Necessary. Those of you that are aware of what happens in Kenya once in a while, what reaches the news is, you'll remember that last election, 2007, 2008, wasn't very peaceful. And there was a lot of violence that broke out afterwards. So this is a film that addresses that. It premieres in Nairobi in February, and then it's going to be released to the rest of the world after that. Yeah.
Is it a collaboration with the same?
Same collaboration, but different African filmmakers. Yes.
I was just trying to listen to some of the language. Was the original village a Kikuyu village?
That is correct. Yes.
And then in Nairobi, some Swahili, was that introduced?
Yes. Yeah, so the beginning of the film and the village was Kikuyu.
Writers then would also have done that in the original script?
Yeah, they wrote all the dialogue first in languages that they were familiar with, and then went to translators who had to get it not into direct translation, but conversational. Kikuyu, Swahili, and then English. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have difficulty, given the way you're portraying the authorities as filmmakers in trying to do this?
Was there difficulty
with the authorities, like the way you're portraying the police and stuff? Does that present problems for you making the film?
No, actually, no. Not at all. One of the exteriors was actually filmed at a police station. The producers were a bit clever about it. They didn't reveal all the details about what was being depicted and portrayed. A lot of the interiors were done in sets, like the toilet. The prison, the toilet scene, anything where they had to have one-on-one interaction with the police, where there was actual dialogue going on. That we couldn't involve them. But like I said, the city council was very supportive. We were a bit nervous about how they'd react when the movie came out. Yeah, I'm glad you're nervous as well. But this is an interesting thing. It's really gotten the attention of, politicians, for instance. A group of politicians, one politician went to see it with his wife and his sister-in-law, and his sister-in-law, started crying in the middle of the screening in one of the carjacking scenes, because she said, I've been through that, and he got so moved by that he got a lot of public officials to actually watch the film. So they brought out one screening, and they had members of parliament, ministers, and public officials there watching the film. So that's the reaction so far. Yeah.
Filming in there, did it feel dangerous, or with
Yes.
the safety of the crew and everything? Were the locals more curious, or?
The locals were very curious. We had lots of security on set. The problem with insecurity came in the scenes where they had guns and where robbery was portrayed, because Nairobians have they have this instinct. Once you see a crime being committed, if you're in a position to stop it, especially if you're in a group, stop it. So the scene where OT steals the girl's phone, one person didn't know it was a set and came on set and kicked it. When Moas is running to the theater, once or twice, mob formed out of nowhere and tried to stop him and beat him up because they thought he was robbing someone. The scene where they were running with guns, where they're trying to rob someone and the guy comes out with the gun and shoots at them, they had to run really far away from him, just to get there, because we had lots of wide shots. And the actors were very afraid because they were running with guns and they ran off of the set. So if there happened to be any policemen passing or patrolling at that point and saw them running with guns, they'd have been shot dead then. So in the U.S.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You were superb at the festival.
All right. Thank you. I'll take a last couple of questions. Yes.
Yes, I wonder if there are any of the stories that you believe.
I can tell you with almost complete certainty that 95% of the people in Nairobi that watched the film have been either mugged or carjacked in the manner that you saw. It's something that we're very familiar with, particularly from many years back. It's not nowhere near as bad now, but everyone is very familiar with that story and with that,
So the Kenyan tourist authority is really pleased with that film.
As an artistic, as a film to come out of Kenya that's gaining such worldwide attention, they're very proud of it. And as far as the issues, they can choose to look the other way like they've done for many years. Yes, sir.
To leave us with a positive vision of not carjacking the Kenya, what made you portray, I remember the disco scene, what made you, why didn't you guys choose to do more about the life of the rich, of the opulence of Nairobi, perhaps another scene at one of the actors' house, or what was there more about the other side of that half life?
I'm glad you asked that question. The decision was made to show off Nairobi's opulence through the stage play. If you see, a couple of rich people coming home and talking about, next time we should do Italian or Chinese, and the two thieves talking about them, you live on this island, so far removed from the stuff that's happening on the ground. That is, again, an artistic representation of real life Nairobi. There are people driving big cars and making lots of money who are completely removed from the reality, unless they end up interacting with thieves like you saw a few of them do. Yeah. Yes?
I was really struck by the difference in quality of the acting, sort of the movie part versus the actual play.
Yes.
I mean, it was so sort of stagey, except for sort of the main character. I assume that was intentional?
It was, actually no, that was coincidental. Like I said, since we were going on set, everywhere where you saw was a real set. The actors that you saw in the play, with the exception of myself and Moas, were actually rehearsing for a play at that theater. So at the time they was filming, they were given the lines and told, if you can stick around after rehearsal, there's something filming here. These are your lines, and so they were caught, by surprise, not really knowing what was going on.
I mean, in the rest of the movie, what did you do to make the acting scenes so bad? I mean, I really believe.
The casting. I think the casting was everything. Just a note about the casting. The casting director was the guy you saw them trying to sell all this stuff to. Yeah. The first guy. The guy that was always cutting and taking the prices down. That was the casting director. Yeah. So he came to all of us. The cop that shoots the thug, as he's standing, then they execute him. That was the location manager. The lady that gets robbed at the theater, at the mall, gets out of her car and they jump into her car. And that was the producer, the local producer. So a lot of the people that you see in there were part of the cast. But they made the decision from the very beginning. Moas was the one that was cast first, and then all of us had to audition opposite him. And that was the result. Yes?
Yeah, you did a fantastic job in this film, and clearly you've got some professional experience. I was just wondering, for those of us who aren't familiar with the Kenyan market, are you like a big star or anything?
That's a good question. No. No, I'm not.
Denzel Washington?
No. Actually, a lot of the big actors in Kenya are the lady that gets robbed of her phone. She's big, so everyone was like, "Wow, she took such a small role. Oh my God," you know. Moas, the guy that plays OT. A lot of us, this was our very first feature. So, yeah. So we're not famous yet, you know. Fingers crossed.